A federal grand jury in Tampa, Florida, returned a superseding indictment charging 4 U.S. citizens and 3 Russian nationals with working on behalf of the Russian government and in conjunction with the Russian Federal Security Service to conduct a multi-year foreign malign influence campaign in the United States. Among other conduct, the superseding indictment alleges that the Russian defendants recruited, funded, and directed U.S. political groups to act as unregistered illegal agents of the Russian government and sow discord and spread pro-Russian propaganda. In addition, Russian intelligence agents were said to have influenced politics in the U.S. during the 2016 presidential election. It was led by Federal Security Service officers Alexei Sukhodolov and Yegor Popov and spread Kremlin propaganda via social media. What the Americans fear and what the Russians want to achieve not only in the U.S., but also in the countries of the broader collective West, is to increase the level of popularization, to destabilize countries by increasing and sharpening the political debate. Russian security services are successfully embedding their allies in NGOs, government structures, and even international structures. Last year, a corruption scandal in the European Parliament was exposed.
Dostęp do Parlamentu Europejskiego, myślę, że
Access to the European Parliament, I think, is facilitated by the Russian Federation, if only by cooperation with German parliamentarians, which, after all, was very intense right at the very beginning of the war. And we can point here, for example, to Mr. Scholz, who, after all, legitimizes such close contacts with Vladimir Putin.
przecież legitymuje się takimi bliskimi kontaktami z Władimirem Putinem.
Meanwhile, in April of this year, Brussels police entered the headquarters of the EPP, the largest party in the European Parliament. At the time, investigators seized computers in connection with corruption allegedly occurring during the 2019 parliamentary elections. The chairman of the European People's Party is Manfred Weber. The German politician has repeatedly announced his willingness to interfere in the electoral process in Poland and has made no secret of the sympathy he has for Donald Tusk. If he previously talked about a firewall and now talks about fighting his opponents in Poland, we are dealing with a scandal of a European nature, a scandal that somehow communicates a slightly different kind of activity or influence of Russian policy on the Polish public space. The activities of the Russian security services are also focused on provoking grassroots social protests in Europe, especially in Germany, where strikes often carry anti-Ukrainian and pro-Putin slogans. Such beliefs are noticeable even in the German parliament. The troll factory from St. Petersburg, founded by Prigozhin, had a very strong influence on the elections 2 years ago. It managed to discredit the Green Party's candidate, Ms. Annalena Baerbock, for example, to the extent that those in the Green Party were staunch opponents of Putin's Russia. According to publicists, the agenda of Russian disinformation includes the activity of civic platform politicians on social media. The flagship example is Radosław Sikorski's post about alleged American involvement in blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline, as well as statements by Michał Kołodziejczak. Makes us have conflicts with Russia. This is not a coincidence, for the reason that the civic platform, as you can see, is not quite able to say goodbye to its idea of getting closer to Russia at any cost. What we are observing in the context of the disclosure of more facts and documents from 2007 to 2010 already shows this, but old friendships do not fade away easily. Confederation Party deputies are also known for their pro-Russian statements. Grzegorz Braun, Krzysztof Bosak, or Robert Winnicki are people that spread disinformation. Disinformation is Russia's most powerful weapon against countries it cannot attack militarily. According to a declassified analysis by the U.S. intelligence services, Russian propaganda was also said to have infiltrated foreign media. Pro-Russian articles were created, among others, by Natalia Burlinova, to whom the declassified report is devoted. She is one of 4 people detained in the case. Burlinova, in turn, was affiliated with the Batory Foundation, a non-governmental organization that funds the Committee for Defense of Democracy.